Hey folks, it's Ray with Taste Radio. Right now I'm honored to be sitting down with Maura Duggan, who is the founder and CEO of Fancypants Baking Company. Maura, it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're a bit of fans, I would say. Fiends is more like it at the BevNET office for Fancypants Baking Company. We love your products.
Oh, thank you so much. They're my favorite kind of people.
Yeah, well, all I can tell you is that every time the bags come into the office, they are gone in 60 seconds, either because someone's grabbing them and hoarding them or someone just ate an entire bag on their own. So
that's great. I love that.
Yeah. We're here in Providence for the Naturally New England Naturally Rising Pitch Competition, and we were just chatting before we hopped on the mics about how professional and polished these presentations are, and how far founders have come in being able to not only amplify what they're doing, but do it in a really concise and professional way.
Yes, absolutely. I was really impressed. It was a great crew, and just the amount of time and effort you could tell that everybody put into what they were saying, but they really know their background and their facts and their audience, and they're able to explain it to people in a easily and approachable way.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Do you think you could have been up on stage in 2004 when you started the company?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's probably not my strength, so I'm happy to be in the audience and to cheer people on.
Yeah, well, I mean, nevertheless, you have a great brand, you have a great company. As I mentioned, you started out in 2004.
Yes.
The brand, the CPG brand, the consumer brand, launched in 2024.
Yes.
So what were you doing for the first 20 years?
Yeah, still baking cookies.
Yeah.
So many cookies, but it's been a huge transformation. It's really, I started in 2004 in my apartment making decorative cookies, and first walked into fresh bakery departments of grocery stores in the greater Boston area because I was a home baker. My career was going to be in something else, and so I thought, well, I bake cookies, that you walk into a bakery. So I was lucky. I had great reception early on to the decorative product, and I grew and scaled that over the last 20 years. But as you said, now I'm full on 2 feet in CPG. So there's some similarities, but lots of differences.
Do you still have the other part of your business as well?
Not really. It's really winding down. Over the past 18 months, we've been sort of scaling that down as we scale up the CPG.
So the idea of creating a cookie brand is not necessarily a new or crazy thing. I mean, there's a lot of people who want to start cookie brands, but your cookies are different. They're not like the typical cookies you would find, I guess, that most people would think of when they're looking for store brand cookies or branded cookies in a grocery store. What makes yours different?
It's really all about the ingredients. When we were developing the recipes, I kept thinking about, what do you want when you have a cookie? And you want it to be delicious. And it has to be. And to do that, you have to have the best ingredients. And so we experimented with, probably 10 different butters. Which one, tastes the richest and is the best? And we did that for every single ingredient, for every single flavor. And you can really tell, I think, when you mix them all together. We use like a premium flour, King Arthur flour, and it's every one of those things. When you mix them all together in a bowl, you wind up with a delicious, indulgent cookie.
And these are small, crunchy cookies,
right,
that come in a, I don't know what the pouch size is.
Yeah, it's 5 ounces, so about 22, 23 cookies per bag.
Mm-hmm. Why small cookies? Why do you go in that direction?
Just, they're snackable, and I think people snack a lot, and they're convenient. So you can have, one serving is 4 cookies. You can, have 2, 3, 4 cookies, reseal the bag, put them away, or pass them around family in the office. They're convenient, and I think that people like that.
Now, having been in business for 20 years before you launched this consumer brand, I'm sure you have a lot of experience that you could bring to the table. But what surprised you about CPG when you came into it, and what did you feel like you really needed to catch up and get up to speed to quickly before you launched the brand?
I mean, I think a lot, the review schedules, I'd say, that, the lead times, we're not used to that in the fresh bakery. It's more kind of present as you go,
right,
a little bit. So that's really different. You can't scale maybe as quickly as you think because you might have to wait for 7 months for your preferred retailer to be looking at your product. So that, that's been something that we've adjusted and we've been learning about. a lot of the different means of having to promote your product, it's getting on the shelf, which is difficult, but it's also reaching, the customers. Again, we were a very niche product in the fresh bakery. We had decorative products that were bright. They kind of marketed themselves because we were merchandised amongst bagels and muffins, and then we had, bright cookies. So we didn't need to put the same attention. They kind of grabbed people's attention on their own. Mm-hmm. So I think it's been a lot about learning, what works in different retailers to grab the consumer's attention.
Yeah, the review cycle's different for different retailers,
yes.
And you have to think about, okay, what happens if they say yes, and what kind of production capacity are we going to need, and so on and so forth. But the one thing I think that's universal across all retailers is your package, right? So when you think about, or when you were thinking about what the package should look like, what the name should be, how the name should pop, how the cookies should pop on the front of pack, what went into those decisions?
Yeah, we really knew that you have those few seconds to grab people's attention. So we knew we wanted bright, and we realized that no other brand really owns red in the cookie category. So that seemed, and it's kind of like a rich color, mm-hmm. Kind of like an indulgence, so it felt like it sort of went along with the indulgence that we're creating in the cookies. And then I really wanted something, cookies are meant to be, they're sort of celebratory, they're kind of fun, they make you feel good, that type of thing. So it was really important to me that we captured that sort of lightheartedness. And that's where we came up with the idea of a peacock, and that it's just sort of like a cool looking, fun little creature that can do lots of cute things with the chocolate chips or, holding oats, whatever it is. And so it was really about trying to just maximize those first few seconds with some bright colors, but also something that might, make you smile enough mm-hmm. to maybe grab the bag and then flip it over and take a look at the ingredients, which we then hope, convinces you to buy them.
Yeah. Is the word Fancypants, I feel like it's always associated with peacocks, is it?
I don't, it's funny.
Or was it just you guys? Okay.
Yeah, that was a name, back in 2004 when I started the business. It was meant to just be like, I was going to do it for maybe 6 months or a year. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted like a fun, memorable name. Yeah. And so Fancypants, came to me, and I just thought that'd be fun. But now here you are, 21 years later. Well, it is memorable. Yeah,
it definitely is. Well, I mean, a Massachusetts native like myself, I think when I was growing up, people were like, look at this Fancypants over here,
Yes,
it was a lot of that.
A lot of people have like a personal connection to it, which is really great. When you're doing demos or at trade shows, a lot of people have a positive association with the name. So that's really fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a positive association with Fancypants because of the ingredients that you mentioned, but also because it's nut-free. How much of a conscious decision was that, especially given that nut allergies seem to be going through the roof?
Right. That was a decision that I made very early on. I actually had a great friend who both of her children had severe allergies. And again, that was, 20 years ago, and there really were not a lot of options back then. And I just decided we're going to stay nut-free. We're nut-free now, and we're going to stay that way. And it can be a real challenge, but it's also a great advantage as long as, we're ultra careful about who we source from and have all sorts of documentation. And sometimes it can be limiting because there aren't a lot of people who want to, say that they're nut-free or provide the documentation, but it's worth it. It's something that people, once they know that we're nut-free, they're repeat customers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And strangely, I now have a nut allergy, which developed.
Oh my.
So that was weird.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah. Well, that just makes it even more important for you to get Fancypants cookies on JetBlue flights and Delta flights and so on and so forth, because mm-hmm. I think they're pretty cautious about nut allergies on flights like that. And I got to tell you, the options that I've seen on certain flights lately have not been so great. So
yes, that's definitely something that we would love to do. We received a grant recently, just about a month ago, that from a Massachusetts Mass Tech Collaborative that we're going to use to buy some new packaging equipment that's going to allow us to make mini packs. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Okay, cool. Well, you brought up your factory. When I talk to entrepreneurs and they have a manufacturing facility in addition to their consumer brand, they always refer to the businesses as two distinct businesses. So you have, on the one hand, you're making the product. On the other hand, you have sales and marketing. How are you balancing both?
Well, I mean, that's the way it's always been. So, I mean, we have different people who have, serve different purposes. So we have a VP of sales, and his, job all day, every day is to be, talking with stores and making presentations, things like that. And then we also, we are running our manufacturing. We also do a lot of co-packing and private label for other companies. So we're kind of we've kind of grown, from very small, and we're still very nimble, and we're still small. But it's everybody that works for us does like 10 different things.
I mean, it certainly seems like it's an advantage to have a manufacturing facility, but for folks who are listening right now, what advice would you have for them if they're starting out?
I'm sure there are pros and cons to both. This is what I've always known. I'm a bit of a control freak, and so I've always had control over everything that we do. We can scale up and down. We can do a lot of different things very quickly. We can innovate quickly. So if you kind of like that, if it's like famous last words. I said 20 years ago I never wanted to be bored, and I'm certainly never bored.
No.
So you have to like doing a lot of different things, I think, if you're going to do your own manufacturing. But, I think it's been a great route for us.
Well, I think one advantage that's very clear is your ability to create limited edition flavors, which you do in spades.
Yes.
And it's great because it seems like every 3 or 4 months you have a couple new limited edition flavors, and they're all amazing. Your strawberry shortcake?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, good.
Knocked it out of the park. It's so darn good. What does it do for the brand, having all these limited edition flavors?
It's a way, it gives us something to talk about. We get new customers. Maybe you wouldn't have tried a chocolate chip cookie, but you love strawberry shortcake, and you're like, well, I'll pick that up and try. So I think it brings different people in for different reasons. It's kind of fun for our team to, we're used to, it kind of a lot goes back to what we used to do. We used to do decorative cookies that, we had 8 or 12 different designs every month.
Oh,
we're
wow.
used to, always changing and something fresh. And so I think it's kind of, as the group that we are, we're used to like, what about this? What about that? We sort of love to experiment. We all have sweet tooth, so it's always fun to come up with a new recipe. And I think, consumers today, they want that. You see huge CPG companies, and they're coming out with limited editions all the time. So it's also partly, I think it's something that you need to do to stay relevant.
And just keep the customer interested, I think.
Yes,
yeah.
right. Because people are becoming accustomed to be introduced to new things constantly.
Yeah, and again, it definitely is. I think it makes your social media content a lot easier to strategize around, because you always have something new. You always have something to talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and people engage different things and come up with great ideas. I love people send us ideas sometimes too.
Yeah.
I mean, food is very, social.
Yeah.
And so it's something I look forward to. It's one of my favorite parts of the business, is thinking about kind of what's next.
Absolutely. Where can you find Fancypants Baking Company at retail?
Sure. We are gaining retail every day, which is really exciting. So you can find us sort of in the New England markets all the way to California. So Gelson's and Bristol Farms. We just launched at Harris Teeter on the East Coast in the Fresh Market. We launched this week in 40 Whole Foods Market in the Mid-Atlantic region, Central Market, Woodman's Market. So we're in a couple thousand doors right now, and hopefully more and more as the year continues.
Well, if it hasn't been clear, listeners, you got to get your hands on some Fancypants Baking Company cookies. And if you're a retailer listening, I would highly consider you look at the brand, because what Maura and her team make it's just a fantastic brand with fantastic products. So I can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit down with me today. Really appreciate it. Got to come visit the factory, yes?
Yes,
pretty
I would
soon.
love to have you, absolutely.
Okay, well, that'll be part 2 of our discussion with Maura about
that'd be
Fancypants.
great.
But in the meantime, thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.